Ever notice how your favorite pair of sneakers feels a little too tight around 6 p.m.? Or how your socks leave deep, angry rings around your ankles by the time you're ready to unwind for the night? If you're over 60, chances are you've brushed it off. You figure, hey, it's just part of getting older, right? Everyone deals with a little puffiness. But as a surgeon, I've sat across from countless patients who told themselves that exact same story, only for us to realize later that those heavy, swollen lower legs weren't a normal sign of birthdays passing by. They were a quiet, persistent SOS from a circulatory system that's been struggling for years. We tend to ignore it because it doesn't scream at us with sharp pain. Instead, it sneaks up on you. It starts with that subtle, heavy feeling in your calves by evening, a little stiffness when you stand up from the couch, or shoes that suddenly feel like a size too small. You dismiss it day after day until down the road, simple things like a walk around the block, playing with the grandkids, or just getting out of bed in the morning start feeling like a massive chore. This gradual shift can quietly chip away at your balance, your stability, and ultimately, your independence. But here is the real kicker that most people miss. Your body isn't begging for a new prescription pill or an expensive medical procedure. It's begging for movement. Today I'm going to walk you through 5 incredibly simple, low-impact movements that act like a natural drainage system, pumping that trapped fluid right out of your lower legs before these minor annoyances turn into permanent limitations. Before we dive into these game-changing moves, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on practical, real-world health tips designed specifically for your lifestyle. And hey, let's keep it interactive today. If you're finding this helpful and want to see more content like this, drop a number 1 in the comments section below. If you think we can improve, type a 0 and tell me what you want to see next. Let's start with what I call the ultimate hidden fix for swollen legs, the heel raise pump. It might surprise you to learn that the real culprit behind your evening ankle swelling usually isn't your heart, your kidneys, or even that salty meal you had for lunch. More often than not, it's simply because your calf muscles have quietly gone on strike. I see this exact pattern all the time across the country, especially with folks who are enjoying a more relaxed lifestyle, spending more time reading, catching up on their favorite shows, or just taking it easy in their favorite chair. Your lower legs are actually equipped with a brilliant built-in pump, and the calf muscles are the engine. Every single time you take a step or flex your leg, those muscles contract, squeezing the deep veins in your calves and forcing blood and fluid back up against gravity toward your heart. But when you're sitting still for long stretches, that engine shuts down. Fluid obeys the laws of physics. It travels downward and pools in your ankles and feet. That's why you wake up with normal-looking feet, but end the day with tight, puffy ankles. The good news is that restarting this engine is incredibly easy, and you can do it right now from the comfort of your own living room. Find a sturdy, firm chair like a dining room chair, and sit up with good, natural posture. Keep your back comfortably supported, place your feet flat on the floor about hip-width apart, and slowly lift your heels as high as you comfortably can while keeping your toes pressed firmly into the ground. You should feel a gentle, satisfying squeeze right in the meat of your calf muscles. Hold that peak contraction for a solid 3 seconds, no rushing through it, and then slowly lower your heels back down to the floor. That is one single, perfect repetition. When you're first starting out, aim for a set of 10. And as your legs get stronger and more used to the movement, you can easily build that up to 15 or 20 reps. Remember, this isn't a race. Speed is actually your enemy here because rushing the movement doesn't give the veins enough time to compress and move the fluid. Think of your calf muscle like a wet sponge. You want a slow, deliberate squeeze to push the water out, not a quick shake. This specific movement is incredibly powerful if you deploy it right after you've been sedentary. Think of a 1-hour TV show, a long phone call with a friend, or a drive across town as your cue to do a quick set. Those are the exact moments when fluid is actively pooling in your lower legs. Of course, listen to your body. If you feel actual joint or muscle pain rather than just a mild workout sensation, back off a bit, reduce the height of your heel raise, or take a breather. And if you happen to be dealing with severe, unmanageable swelling, open sores, or a diagnosed vascular condition, always check in with your primary care doctor before starting a new routine. But for the vast majority of adults over 60, adding this quick calf pump to your daily routine can make your legs feel lighter and less tight within just a few days, simply because you're turning a vital bodily function back on. When this calf pump stays dormant for too long, it doesn't just cause puffiness, it alters how you walk, degrades your balance, and slowly erodes your confidence on your feet. But what if I told you there's another movement that targets fluid trapped even deeper, unlocking stiff joints that have been sluggish for years? If you're still tracking with me and ready to take control of your mobility, type a number 1 in the comments right now. That brings us directly to our second movement, ankle circles, which are truly the secret key to unlocking stubborn, deep-seated fluid in your lower limbs. Think about that moment when you first get out of a chair or step out of bed, and your ankles feel so stiff and locked up that you have to take a few awkward, hesitant steps just to find your groove. That stubborn stiffness isn't just an inevitable badge of honor that comes with aging joints. It's a major indicator that your local circulation has ground to a halt. Throughout my career working with independent seniors who want to stay active and mobile, I've realized that people drastically underestimate how much a restricted range of motion contributes to chronic swelling. When an ankle joint loses its flexibility and stops moving through its full natural circle, the fluid surrounding that joint becomes stagnant. It just sits there, thickening and hardening over time, creating that persistent, doughy swelling around your ankle bones. Ankle circles are an absolute game changer because they reintroduce gentle, fluid movement exactly where your body has grown rigid. To execute these properly, sit comfortably in your chair and lift one foot slightly off the ground, keeping your leg relaxed. Now, begin to rotate your ankle in a wide, slow, deliberate circle. Pretend your big toe is a piece of chalk, and you're trying to draw a perfectly smooth, round circle in the air. No jagged edges, no rushing. Rotate clockwise 10 times, taking a full 2 to 3 seconds for each single circle. Then pause, reset, and go counterclockwise for another 10 repetitions. You might hear a little popping or feel a bit of tightness at first, and as long as it doesn't hurt, that's completely normal. It's just your joint waking up after being dormant. Once you finish one side, switch over to the other foot and repeat the process. This routine is exceptionally potent when done first thing in the morning before your feet even touch the floor, or late at night when the day's swelling is at its peak. It physically breaks up that stagnant fluid and allows your body to redistribute it properly. If you neglect your joint mobility day after day, your ankles will inevitably become permanently stiff, and once that happens, even normal walking won't be enough to pump fluid out effectively. That's when swelling becomes a stubborn, everyday problem that's incredibly hard to reverse. If you're managing arthritis or have limited mobility, don't worry about making massive circles. Even a small, partial range of motion does wonders. Consistency is what wins the race here, not perfection. You aren't forcing anything. You're just reminding your joints how they were designed to move. Once you unlock that motion, you'll notice your legs don't just look better. They feel more stable, more responsive, and more alive. But we can take this a step further by engaging the massive muscle groups higher up in the leg, which brings us to our third technique, seated marching. Think of this as a total circulation reset that most people completely overlook. When your legs start to feel incredibly heavy halfway through the afternoon, like you're wading through deep sand or wearing heavy lead boots, that is a massive clue. Your body is telling you that the return blood flow from your lower extremities is slowing to a crawl. A lot of health advice out there focuses entirely on the feet and ankles, but your thighs actually hold the key to major circulatory health. The deep, large veins traveling up your legs run right through your quadriceps and hamstrings, meaning these massive muscles act as a primary superhighway booster to send blood all the way back up to your torso. When you sit for hours at a time, this superhighway gets completely bottlenecked, and everything below your thighs suffers the consequences. Seated marching is the perfect, highly practical way to blast through that bottleneck without even needing to stand up. Sit up straight in a secure, stable chair, letting your hands rest easily on your lap or the sides of the seat for balance. Slowly lift your right knee up toward the ceiling, raising it only as high as feels comfortable for your hip and thigh. Hold it at the top for one brief second to let those large muscles fully engage, then lower it back down under total control. As soon as your right foot touches the floor, smoothly transition and lift your left knee in the exact same manner. Continue alternating back and forth in a steady, deliberate marching rhythm. Start out by doing this for about 30 seconds straight, and as your stamina builds, work your way up to a full minute. The magic here lies in the control. Don't use momentum to swing your legs up. Every single lift should be an intentional muscle contraction. This is a spectacular exercise for anyone who spends a good chunk of the day sitting at a computer, knitting, crafting, or watching the news. It instantly wakes up those deep femoral pathways, pulling fluid upward and preventing it from pooling down in the lower basement of your body. Pay close attention while doing this. If you notice that one leg feels significantly heavier or weaker than the other, that's incredibly valuable data. It shows you exactly where your imbalances are, and continuing this marching routine will help restore symmetry and strength over time. For safety's sake, always ensure your chair is parked on a non-slip surface. And if you ever feel a little lightheaded or off balance, just pause and take a break. If you've had a recent hip or knee replacement, definitely get the green light from your physical therapist or surgeon before adding this to your day. The beautiful thing about seated marching is that it does double duty. It aggressively flushes out swelling while simultaneously strengthening the exact hip flexor muscles you need to walk confidently, step over curbs safely, and maintain your absolute freedom of movement. Now, what if you could flush out that swelling almost effortlessly, letting physics do all the heavy lifting for you? That brings us to our fourth strategy, which is wall leg elevation. This is truly a method where you let gravity do the hard work your body is struggling to manage on its own. If you're noticing deep, permanent sock lines by 7 p.m., your body is dealing with the cumulative effect of gravity pulling fluid down into your lower extremities all day long. Your veins have to work incredibly hard to push blood upward against the constant downward pull of gravity. And as we age, that uphill battle gets tougher. The longer your feet stay planted below your heart level, the more pressure builds up in those lower vessels, leading to tight skin, stiff joints, and heavy legs. Wall leg elevation completely flips the script by turning gravity into your greatest ally, draining that excess fluid naturally without needing a single pill or putting any strain on your joints. To practice this safely, find a comfortable spot on the floor next to a clear wall space in your bedroom or living room. Sit sideways right next to the wall, and then gently swing your legs up along the wall as you transition onto your back. Your hips don't need to be crammed flat against the baseboard. Just find a distance that feels comfortable and fully supported for your hamstrings and lower back. Let your arms rest loosely out to your sides. Take deep, natural breaths, and just hang out there for 5 to 10 minutes. Within just a few moments, you'll literally feel the pressure draining out of your ankles, replaced by a wonderful, cool feeling of lightness. If getting down onto the living room floor feels like too much of a challenge, you can easily modify this by lying flat on your bed and propping your legs up against your headboard, or by stacking a mountain of firm pillows underneath your calves so your legs rest well above the level of your heart. If your lower back feels a bit grumpy while doing this, just slide your hips a little further away from the wall, or slide a small rolled-up towel under your lower back for extra support. If you ever feel a pins and needles sensation in your toes, simply bend your knees for a minute to release the tension. Making this simple elevation a part of your evening wind-down routine is incredibly therapeutic. It essentially resets your lower body's circulatory health before you go to sleep, ensuring that trapped fluid doesn't sit inside your tissues all night long, damaging your skin texture and causing chronic morning stiffness. To round out this complete approach, we have our fifth and final movement, the toe flex and point. This is a micro movement that yields massive results by preventing fluid from settling in the absolute furthest points of your body. It's funny how the smallest, most effortless movements are often the exact ones our bodies rely on the most, and they're usually the first ones we stop doing without even realizing it. When I examine patients, one of the first things I look at is how much micro movement is happening in their feet. Many people still get their daily steps in, but they completely lose those fine, articulate motions of the toes and arches that keep the smallest capillaries active when we are resting. The toe flex and point is a beautiful way to target those exact micro pathways. You can do this sitting in your favorite chair or lying flat in bed. It's actually a brilliant thing to do right before you get up in the morning and right before you close your eyes at night. Extend your legs straight out in front of you, keep them relaxed, and slowly point your toes forward as far as you can, almost as if you're trying to touch the wall across the room. Hold that stretch for 2 seconds, feeling the muscles along the front of your shins engage, and then slowly pull your toes all the way back toward your face, flexing your feet hard so your heels push forward. You'll feel a gorgeous deep stretch running through your calves and your Achilles tendon. Go back and forth smoothly for 15 to 20 repetitions, focusing entirely on a slow, rhythmic pace rather than trying to speed through it. This simple action keeps the tiny, delicate vessels in your feet completely clear. When you are asleep or sitting still for hours, those tiny pathways become completely stagnant, which is why so many folks complain that their feet feel like blocks of wood when they first stand up in the morning. Activating these muscles before you even take your first step prepares your body for the day. It's also an absolute lifesaver for anyone dealing with foot cramps, and it drastically improves your overall foot awareness, which is your absolute #1 defense against accidental trips and falls as the years go by. So what happens when you take all 5 of these simple, intentional movements and weave them into one seamless daily habit? You unlock the ultimate turning point for your long-term health. Your body doesn't just suddenly fail out of nowhere. It gives you gentle, quiet whispers for years before those whispers turn into permanent changes. Swollen ankles and heavy legs aren't just minor daily annoyances. They are early, clear communication from your circulatory system. If you choose to ignore these signs, over the next year or two, that temporary evening puffiness can harden into permanent swelling. Your shoes will stay tight. Your legs will feel chronically exhausted after a simple trip to the grocery store, and your balance will naturally begin to slip. 5 years down the road, chronic fluid pooling can lead to permanent skin discoloration, severe joint rigidity, and a very real loss of your personal daily independence. But you have the power to write a completely different story. By adopting these 5 effortless habits, you aren't just managing a symptom, you are actively protecting your freedom, your mobility, and your future. It doesn't require hours of grueling exercise or perfect execution. It just takes a few minutes of daily, mindful attention. Your body possesses an incredible ability to adapt and heal at any age, but it only responds to what you do consistently. Listen to what your legs have been trying to tell you. Take action today, and keep moving freely on your own terms. I would absolutely love to hear which of these 5 movements you're going to try out first. So please drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation going. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.